Elena is here, and I'm delighted to speak with Carol Hollenbeck, a playwright, fiction writer, a theater journalist, and actress. She played in iconic Hollywood movies, TV shows, and off Broadway plays in New York. Welcome, Mrs. Hollenbeck.
Thank you very much. You gave me a very big opening here. Yes, yes. Yeah, I did. I did a lot of work years ago. I started out, as you can see, I have a few years on me, and that's fine, and that's great. And we all, and I love the fact that I'm still here, and learning that song. By the way, I'm still here, Stephen Sondheim song. And anyway, yeah, I started out in Hollywood as a young person. I went out there with all kinds of dreams intact, and actually, I grew up sort of like on movie magazines where a lot of people grow up with the Bible and all. I mean, we did have church and all, but the reality is I was Screen Gems, I was Photoplay, and those movie magazines were my Bible. So that's the way I grew up. And Hollywood was the epitome. And of course, in those days, that there was the Hollywood era, the golden era, the magic era of Hollywood, where you had stars who actually looked different and were not in the per se sort of beautiful sort of character, but they were character beautiful. And you had all these wonderful looking stars that they didn't look like anybody but themselves. And they were the epitome of the Hollywood golden era. And that's what I fell in love with. I fell in love with that like royalty. And I grew up wanting this. And even when it changed, I was really didn't even realize how everything was changing in front of me and how it was going to be so kind of boring and everybody was going to look alike and everybody was came out of the same cookie cutter plastic surgeon. And so, excuse me, I went to Hollywood with these dreams intact. And actually the reality is I thought, oh my God, this is absolutely true. This is coming to fact. I'm walking down the street at Hollywood Boulevard and I get discovered.
Oh, and tell us about the story.
Rightfully so.
You were only 23, right?
Yeah, 23 or 22. I'm walking down the street of Hollywood Boulevard or Sunset and Vine, one of them. And a woman comes running after me and says, hey, are you an actress? And I said, well, yes. Yeah. I was like, ooh, really, kind of, yeah, no, yeah. And she says, well, we're doing a commercial. We need you. Now, these particular days of this decade, it would be kind of silly to follow somebody because in those days it was easier. You don't know who, even with a woman, you don't know who you would be getting involved with and what you would see when you went into the space that she asked you to follow her. But I was trusting. And it ended up being fine because I ended up, the next thing I know, I'm in a makeup chair getting made up. My hair is being done. And I'm in a Skybar commercial, a candy commercial. And I'm with Artie Johnson, who was in Laugh-In at the time, which was a very popular hit comedy show of the 60s. So that being said, I was Miss Vanilla. They had Miss Strawberry. They had Miss Chocolate. And it was really fun. And they gave me a check. Well, my God, I thought, wow, you do get discovered in Hollywood. Like I said, you don't have to sit at a Schwab's drugstore and sip out a soda or pretend you are. And somebody comes in and says, hey, we want to screen test you like Lana Turner. No, it was happening. So there I was, absolutely caught up in the myth. And believe you me, it is a myth. Because as it went on, the truth was turning into a nightmare. So then I ended up, auditioning for this showgirl thing and ended up in Las Vegas as a Las Vegas showgirl, which is really absolute, I don't know how to say it, I don't know the word, but anyway, it is something that really shines on your resume or when you speak to people. A Las Vegas showgirl, oh my God. Yes, I was. And I ended up in a Riviera Hotel with Julia Prowse doing Irma la Douce. And then I did a showgirl in a couple of other places, even in Hollywood and New York. And that was kind of like the epitome. To be a showgirl is to be like glamorous, and it still is that way. That's one of the things that does remain. And so anyway, then things, I left Vegas, went back to Hollywood. Things started to unwind. Then there was certain interviews where I was asked to do things which I don't want to say right now. They're in my book called True Blondes. And it's all about being blonde to me. And that the blonde image in Hollywood is a fantasy that they built up, and along with all of the image of blondes, which not just Hollywood, but around the world, it's like to be blonde is to have more fun. And it's really sometimes yes, but sometimes no. It can be a nightmare. I mean, and to be a blonde, to be on the on the arms of a businessman is a trophy, and you become like a trophy. Oh, she's beautiful, she's blonde, and they'll try to. I remember one time being attacked as an agent on Hollywood Boulevard, who I in the midday was asked to go see. Absolutely perfect in an office, midday, no nighttime, no hotel room. And as I'm going in there, the next thing I know, he's on top of me on the couch.
Oh, no.
And I'm fighting my way out. I wrote a poem called Marilyn and Me about Hollywood, because this was right after Marilyn Monroe had passed away. Not that caused him to do that, but and anyway, I fought him off and got out of there. But that wasn't the first time. There were other little things that had happened. And one of the things that he said, I said, why? Why did you do this? And he yelled it, because you're young, blonde, and pretty, and this is Hollywood land.
Oh, my God.
So there you have the Hollywood. The casting couch started way back in the 30s when Jean Harlow came to prominence. Everybody swarmed out. All the girls swarmed out to Hollywood, become platinum blondes. They all wanted to become Jean Harlow. That poor star, who was a brilliant star, died at a very young age. And so then you had the Marilyn, and you had and Marilyn, of course, was the tragic blonde. And that's what I felt about the blonde image from being in Hollywood, and then hearing and seeing it and reading about the blonde image is got a lot of tragedy attached to it. So that's why everything I write right now is about to be blonde, and which you are, and look very good at it. And that's one of the then I got involved with a film. They picked me, discovered me again. I didn't learn my lesson, and they put me into this film called Eden Cried. Now this was when the beach party flicks were all over the place in the 60s. I mean, they did beach party, factory beach party. One beach party movie, the next one, Annette Funicello, Frankie Avalon, all of them, they one after the other. And I couldn't get into those. So somebody picked me up to do a starring in another beach party independent film. And I did that one. And then they decided, after finishing the beach party film, or it was a little more in depth than a beach party. It was about a young girl and a guy getting, how you shouldn't get married young and all that. It was a big soap opera drama. Mm-hmm. And they decided they were going to have a wonderful royal hometown premiere in my hometown. So they contacted the theater. I'm from Newburgh, New York. So they contacted the theater up in Newburgh, the Ritz Theater, which is, oh my God, what a wonderful memory of the Ritz. And not so much the premiere, but everything with the Ritz Theater in Newburgh. They contacted and they okayed it. So they flew me back on the plane to Orange County Airport, to New York City, and then they flew me private helicopter to Orange County Airport. And there was a red carpet treatment. I had the key to the city. I had a street named after me for 2 weeks. I knew
wow.
It was going to go back to the other name. It was okay. It was called Carol Holland.
So many girls would kill for this.
And, yeah, but you're like, hear the end of it. And Carol Holland Way my name is really Hollenbeck, and I went back to Hollenbeck. I am now Carol Hollenbeck, but in Eden Cried, I am Carol Holland. And it was a wonderful time in many ways. However, I wasn't really present, if you know what I mean. I was there physically. I wasn't there mentally. I really wasn't that present. But I was there for a week or so. Well, the worst thing that happened is I went back to Hollywood. I was expecting something, one little thing out of it, one thing. I knew it wasn't a good film. That isn't the point. I was good in it. I was expecting, and what had happened, it was bad. The film was bad. So they decided not to release it. When I wrote a play called Hometown Premiere, loosely based on the evening when I had the red carpet. It was in 2017. The Ritz Theater, bless them, wanted to honor me, and it was just delightful. And we did a reading of the play up in Newburgh. They paid for our way up, the whole bit, whatever. We had a wonderful evening, a wonderful time. And the people in the theater of the Ritz were looking for Eden Cried. They were searching everywhere and they couldn't find it. And I was so glad because they wanted to do something, I don't know, some promo of it or something. And I just said, I don't want this. I don't want this. I had given them stills from the movie and I gave them the old poster from the movie. But anyway, what they did find is they found the new poster, which I was stunned by, thought it was gorgeous. And that was it. Bottom line is, I came back from that wonderful evening, still glad I don't have Eden Cried in my life. And it was delightful. And I thought, well, I made something out of it. If you have lemon, you make lemonade. And I had lemon with Eden Cried, and now I make lemonade. So I ended up feeling quite accomplished about that. In the meantime, a couple of people who knew about it during a Zoom meeting said to me, I found your film. And I said, what do you mean? Is it Eden Cried? It's on sinistercinema.com. What? We've been looking for it for 50 years.
Wow.
People have been looking for it for almost 50 years. Couldn't find it. What are you telling me? Yes, it's on sinistercinema.com. Well, immediately came and I went on the computer and I found it. And so I ordered a copy, $12.99. And make a long story short, other people did. And they said, we're going to have a screening at my apartment. So I went to their apartment and I was sitting there. I had made peace. I told everybody it's a piece of crap. It's this, it's that. But you know what? Let's not, let's just have fun with it. So everybody's mind was made up. And they had changed it. They had brought in a narrator and it was funny. It was absolutely funny because you take the decade of the 50s and 60s of all of their rigidity and their morals and their not morals or whatever, and you put it and you watch it in 2022, which that's when it was found, that it's like, what? It's so corny. It's so funny. It's so corny. I mean, you couldn't take this thing seriously for 5 minutes. I mean, it was like watching some stupid thing and you're just amazed. How dumb could they be?
It's interesting because it's so interesting because what you're saying, because some art is not really accepted by its time when it's created.
Yes.
But later, very often decades or even centuries later, it becomes very, very interesting for the new audience, which lives later.
Yes.
The piece of art. And it's not only about the films.
What it's really called in most of these cases with films is they're later called cult films. Cult films. Oh. And TCM has, Turner Classic has an evening on Friday where it starts at midnight and goes to 6 a.m., where they put all the films that were so bad, that were considered to be so bad. People stay up for that. They get a kick out. They laugh about it. Oh my God, this film is so bad. Isn't it funny? So you see and so everybody said, you should try to get it on the underground, CCM Underground. Well, I've tried here and there, and I'm not going to give up trying it. I'll try to get it on. But we had a beautiful screening of it in my building, and the place was pretty packed. It was nice. But it is a film that what they did, the narrator makes fun of us.
Yes.
The narrator makes fun of me and this and that. And my so-called boyfriend, who was supposed to be 17, high school, and he's 35 and he looks it. That's another thing. The casting was ridiculous, but that's Hollywood. When Hollywood says they want somebody, in their eyes, it doesn't matter. He's wrong physically. He's wrong. No, I want him. That's it. I want him. Nothing said. I got away with 17. He never. He was 35 and he looked it. And, but people, we laughed about it. And it's a fabulous film to get popcorn, and you just want to make fun of it and say, oh, there she goes, that slut. What's she doing now? You know, it just had a good time. And that's the way. And now I have embraced it and I love it. So then I find out through another friend, guess what? They have coffee mugs on Amazon with your poster on it. Where your poster is coffee mugs. So I go up to Amazon and I ordered a couple of cups. Then I find out another company, ID Poster, they end up having 24 products that they'll put the poster on. And
can you show us that pillow?
Oh, yes, I'm going to show it right now. Here's the pillow.
It's wonderful.
I ordered the pillow.
Love this picture.
I ordered the pillow, and I ordered a hoodie, a black hoodie with my poster, and I ordered a t-shirt, long sleeve t-shirt with my poster on it. I ordered a tote bag, and you've seen those, so I don't need to get the others. It's all the same, but it's like amazing. I have my whole place, besides having photos of blondes, Marilyn Monroe, Jean Harlow, and my dear friend Sheila McRae, who is married to Gordon McRae, star, who passed, is Eden cried.
Well, later I'll ask you for that website to share with our audience so they can order the products from Eden Cried. I'd like to jump into something exciting that you're working on, new novella called A Moment of a Blonde Madness. Can you tell us more about it? And
well, a novella is less than 100 pages. And it's not a short story, it's a novella. And when you have a novella, like I said, it's less than 100. Over 100 pages is a novel. It's like True Blondes is a novel. It's a little over 100. And A Moment of Blonde Madness is a novella. And it's about a blonde, and gets caught up in this an obsession thing that she doesn't know that someone is obsessed about her. That's all I can say about it. It's like it's another way of dealing with what I call the fantasy image of the blonde that people or men make up in their heads about what it is to be and blonde. But to tell too much about it is not a good idea, because I can't put it into. It's just she was she was a writer of a bestseller, and now she's working on this. And she was a news anchor. That's what I'll say. She was a blonde news anchor, and evidently had a lot of fans, and had a fan that took it over the boundaries.
So, and when this novella will be released?
Hopefully, we're hoping for June.
This year.
It takes a while. I mean, even though it's a short novella, I think it's 80 some pages. It still takes time to get it together. In fact, we did a promo video of it a few days ago or last week. And my friend Heidi is getting it ready to put it on. And then we took some photos too, straight photos. But the promo video is very interesting. It says something like, do you like Carol Hollenbeck, the author of the hot and spicy new novella called A Moment of Blonde Madness. Do you like mysteries, obsession, and suspense? If you do, you came to the right place, because A Moment of Blonde Madness is all of that. And then it goes into a couple other things. And
Well,
that,
I'd like to, definitely once you have more news about it,
yeah,
the specific date of when it's going to be published, please reach out to me, or I'll follow up with you. Yeah, and also I'd like to talk about, you've been nominated 3 times in the Samuel French one-act play contest. Please tell us what work was nominated, at what point, and some funny stories about your experience.
yes. Well, I back in the 90s, and that doesn't seem long ago, but it's considered a historical decade now. History back in the 90s. I had a lot of plays produced off Broadway and in New York, off Broadway in New York, and one acts of mine, and so that was the start of it. And one of them, was Funky 50s. It was called Funky 50s, and it's a spoof on coming of age in the 1950s, and how 3 girls, there were 3 of them, how they have meetings and they talk about sex, and none of them has had it yet, and and they're virgins and all this and that. That was produced around the city a few times, and the Samuel French nominated it, and that was the first one. And then the second was The Lifters.
Oh yeah.
Which was a one-act play, and it was also took place in the 50s, and it was about a teenager rebelling with her friend shoplifting, and they stole anything that wasn't nailed down, and that was their way of dealing with their life. And that was that. And then the third was 2004, and something I can't remember nowadays. Anyway, the third was Upstate Madness. Upstate Madness. That also took place in the 50s, and it was about 2 girls, and one was getting ready to off herself off in the ladies' room of this place, in this bar, and she's standing on a stool when her girlfriend comes running in. She's ready to hang herself, but I mean, she's not really going to do it. But anyway, it's for attention. But anyway, that's what the 3 plays were.
Mm-hmm. I watched the short film The Lifters, based on the play, which was nominated in the contest. So this film starts with a nightmare that one of the characters experienced before she went out with her friend to do shoplifting. So what would you say about this story? What does it teach the public?
Well, the thing is that, first of all, it is different than the play. The play doesn't go into the shooting. The play ends.
It's not based on the play. The film is not.
It's based on the play.
Right.
Oh yes, it's all based on the play, but it doesn't end the same way. That was the cinema, license to do that. So, and somebody wanted it, and I went along with it. It's okay. I mean, it's really got a really dark ending and a really hateful ending, whereas the play doesn't. It's not that hateful. No. Don't remember. No, it doesn't.
The father kills his own daughter.
Yeah, I know. That's not like I don't think that
in the film.
Yeah, I know that they just get caught in the play. They get caught. That's it. And they're like a deer in headlights in the play. And that ends. It doesn't show the father killing. No. So they want to do that. So they wanted to do like a Hitchcock thing, I guess. But anyway, that was the film and play are different, but they're based. It's like Hometown Premiere is based on the time I had the movie premiere, but it certainly isn't anything like it, because I have in the hometown premiere, I have a stalker after me and tries to rape me in that play, hometown premiere. And that doesn't happen in real life. I had just somebody taking me out, but nobody tried to do anything on me with me that time. But I added that to add the idea of how women are vulnerable and everything. So it's not just whimsical, it's there for a reason. And also for this lifters, well, that was a dramatic license that I took and along with somebody else who wanted it. But that's a lot of things are loosely based on something. They're not the total truth.
But is that right, that your style is often referred to Hitchcock's style because you have that dramatic ending of, or how would you identify your own style?
I don't know. I like suspense. I like suspense. That's what I like. Mainly suspense. I don't know what else to say about it. I was a fan of Hitchcock, especially Vertigo, especially anything that Kim Novak was in. And notice he always used blondes, and they were called the Hitchcock blondes. So I liked a lot of his work, and he never showed the violence of it. He just made you envision it and made it worse in a way because you had to imagine this stuff that was happening. So, but and I don't regret a lot of stuff that happened to me. And one aspect, we did do something back in 2017 when the Me Too was really coming out a lot with that piggy Harvey Weinstein. My Actors Fund group that I'm with, we did a documentary called Senior Me Too, Seniors Finally Having Their Say. And they talked about, there were about 8 of us, including one man, but they talked, the women talked about their early days and how they were sexually harassed. And the opening for me of the Senior Me Too was the poem that I read made up from the time I got attacked by that agent thrown on the couch. And I had a poem called Marilyn and Me. And that won an award. It won the National Hometown Media Awards. And that was in Portland in 2017. The documentary Seniors Finally Have Their Say, which is on YouTube, you can get it, is the won an award.
Wonderful.
We're very, very proud of that. Because in Hollywood, which I have to just go back for 1 second, in my haste, I forgot to say, they were trying to make me into another Marilyn Monroe. And I was on all the covers of local papers. They weren't really national, but some of them were national newspapers, but it was like, this is the new Marilyn Monroe. And I was in Hedda Hopper's column. She was a fabulous columnist in those days, the best in Hollywood, as a contender for the Jean Harlow story, because they were doing the Jean Harlow story and they wanted me as the next Marilyn Monroe type to be auditioning for the Jean Harlow story. And I ended up being interviewed for it. And then almost ended up on television in a big national show where they were going to dress me like Jean Harlow. And then they got a telephone call that Carol Baker had signed the role for Joe Levine to be Jean Harlow. And that was it. They sent me home.
And so many of your work was nominated and won awards. Would you share other works that you like the most, your favorite work you've done here in New York, and you which won award, or maybe not, maybe it's just your favorite story?
Well, the worst thing I felt about was Eden Cried. And now I love it.
And it's
I love it now. And yeah, and that's really something, a quite turnaround. And the other thing is one of the plays I wrote in the beginning, which I love, is called Upstate Morning. It's a one act. I actually did a film script on it, and we had a disappointment on that. So I still have it. It's about a funeral and a missing body, and it's very, very funny. And it's been produced as a play several times, but as a one act. It's one of my favorites. I laugh all the time. It's really a funny play. That's one of my favorites. And of course, Hometown Premiere is, I guess, my top favorite because it brings in the Monroe thing and has a lot to say about that image and about where that can lead and how she is being groomed for the Marilyn Monroe when she comes back from Hollywood to the movie premiere. When sometimes she starts to act like her and talk like her. So it's very I like that play very much.
This is also based on
And
your
I'm
own.
still trying to get it done. I want to get it. It was done in New Jersey, and I want to get it done as a production in the city. Otherwise, it's been done at readings and gotten very good response. So we'll see.
Go ahead.
You must have had experiences as being blonde and attractive.
Oh, me? Yes, I'm in that group. Not
Yes, I know.
Marilyn Monroe style type like you were, but kind of. But today, I think it's much easier to defend yourself
Yes, it is.
legally, and
Yeah.
so protect yourself emotionally, and
Yes.
right. And I'd love to ask you, what does it take to produce your plays? You need to
Oh, yeah.
sponsorship, money. So what does it take?
Yeah.
What the process involved? What is fun about it? What's terrible about it? Tell us about it.
Raising money is terrible. I don't know how to do that. I'm not good at it. Probably somebody who knows how to do that would consider some of it fun. Right now, it would be a nightmare to me. But yeah, sponsorship and money financing are the same thing that you need to have a play done off Broadway, which is what I would love. And, you know, with the right cast, I mean, it's got three great women in it. I mean, three great women's roles, really terrific. The young girl, the grandmother, and the mother, fabulous roles. So, and they're terrific roles for name stars, but I don't have the ability to get to them. I don't have the wherewithal to get to these people, so I have to rely on whatever else I can do. And but everybody who's ever done this play read it, and they love it. They love working on it. So,
lots of your work, lots of your plays were already produced. So how does it work? Did people just come to you after the reading, or how did you get that financing to produce?
Oh, there was no financing involved. I didn't have to get financing involved for the plays. Mm-hmm. No, the financing they were small theater groups. In the 90s, we had a lot of, the real estate wasn't like it is. We had a lot of little theaters all over the place, especially around my area, Hell's Kitchen, our Theater Row. There were wonderful theaters, little theaters, and they always were looking for stuff to put on. And that's how my plays were done. And I never most of the time, I only went to see them. I looked at the cast, that's it. And then I never came back until the play was on, and I'd go and see it, and was always pretty happy with it. So I don't, no, I had nothing to do with anything like that. I don't want anything to do with any financing. Mm-hmm. Not my thing.
But please tell, I know you mentioned about your novel, True Blondes.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Could you tell us more about this book?
Yes, here it
And where we can get it? On Amazon?
Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, but Amazon is mainly where it is.
And this is you on the picture. This is you at 23-year-old.
Yes, yes.
Beautiful picture.
Yeah. And it's about the trials and tribulations of what it means to be blonde, to go to Hollywood. And there's two of them, two blondes that are friends, but they have a nightmarish type time. And some of it's good, but some of it is really the truth, which is not so great as being blonde and trying to make it in Hollywood. It's like pulling teeth without a dentist or whatever. I don't know how to say it. And that's what the novel is about. True blondes. Can two flaxen beauties become movie stars? And former beauty queen and gorgeous blonde Mandy and her life-battered friend Diane want nothing more than to reach the heights of success. Their journey to self-discovery and stardom during the turbulent 60s and 70s takes them from New York City to Las Vegas and Hollywood. So
I believe one of them survives.
That's exactly right.
Another one doesn't.
One survives, yes.
So
that's about it.
Wonderful.
It's been wonderful.
It's so nice to be here. So,
you're great.
So please share your contact information and social media where people can find.
I just do Facebook. I haven't done a lot on Instagram at all, and maybe I should start doing that. I'll see what happens. I haven't done a lot, but I'm on Facebook. You can look me up, Facebook, Carol Hollenbeck. Remember, I'm Carol Hollenbeck, but in Eden Cried, I'm Carol Holland.
But also, there are lots of interviews, interesting content with you on YouTube. If people can just
on YouTube,
look you up.
And also, I'm going to be on that's why I said it is the International Association of Blondes in Bulgaria.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Hollenbeck. It's great to have you here. And if you like to share anything else before we end up this interview,
I think that's it. We had a great interview. Thank you.
It was fun to talk to you, and all your stories are fascinating.
Let me know when it comes on, and I'll check.
Absolutely, I'll share with you the link. I'll do.